So today we have Athena Kan, who is the CEO of the education platform Dreambound. What a great name. And
Thank
today
you.
we're going to have an opportunity to speak with her about a range of things about how her platform works and what those features are and really where they're going in the marketplace. So I want to welcome you, Athena, to EdVenture.
Thank you so much, Juan. It's great to be here.
Yeah, same here. So for those who are not familiar with Dreambound, how would you explain or how would you describe what Dreambound does in the market?
Yeah, Dreambound is a platform for people who are trying to change careers. And the first product that we ended up building was a search engine for people to
Hmm.
find career training programs. So someone can go to our site, they can type in a prospective job that they want to get or a program type that they're trying to get. Could be HVAC, for example, or maybe they want to become a nurse or a computer programmer. And then we'll show them all the programs in the country, basically, or near them that allows them to get to where they want to go. So someone can see like the online, in person, degree or certificate options, ranging from community colleges to for-profit colleges to boot camps to self-study and just kind of everything in between. And the goal is really just to help people who are feeling stuck in their lives and wanting to do something new, just make that first step. So that's sort of the first product that we ended up
Sure,
building. We
sure.
ended up also building a AI-powered career coach for people who are a little bit less sure about what they want to do, who want
Yeah.
some guidance, accountability, and help in figuring out the right program for them.
Well, those are perfect, juicy topics to actually dive into. But first, I want to ask you, so what's the why around Dreambound? What prompted you to say that you wanted to enter into this market and provide these services to these educational customers out there?
Yeah, I started Dreambound about 4 or 5 years ago at this point, and that was kind of the peak of income share agreements for coding boot camps, which is kind of
Hmm.
funny now that
Yeah.
that's aged out a little bit, and we've seen that it actually hasn't worked so well. But I just felt very like morally compelled to help people make more money, especially
Hmm.
people who were quite low income, people who were in poverty and wanted to help
Sure.
break the cycle of poverty and saw these income share agreements rising up and these coding boot camps rising up, but then felt like there was a huge segment of Americans that shouldn't be
Hmm.
going to a coding boot camp or wouldn't want to be going to a coding boot camp because that wasn't the right fit for them. And I was like, wow, there's so many other types of jobs out there. And then I thought back to a time back when I was a kid when weirdly like my parents were trying to hire an electrician for our house and they found it was very expensive. It was going to be like $6,000 even for like the cash only
Oh,
guy
wow.
who was willing to pay it under
Yeah,
the
yeah,
table.
absolutely.
And
Yeah.
yeah, and my dad was like, "This is too expensive. How about instead I go and become an electrician?" So then
Oh,
my dad
really?
spent
Wow.
like, right, yeah, very high agency. So he's just spent like
I
a
see.
few weeks just studying nights and weekends. I was kind of shocked as just like a kid being like, "Wow, you can become an electrician in just a few weeks." And then he just like went and did the work on our house.
Wow.
So just thinking about those two together, I went and talked to a bunch of people who were in the demographic of who I wanted to serve. And then I also went and got certified in some stuff myself too. I became like an apprentice plumber, a
Oh,
caregiver,
really?
temporary nurse aide. Yep.
So you can get under the house and make sure that people's pipes are working
Oh,
during
I
the
can
winter?
apprentice to do that.
Okay, gotcha.
I'd be too good at it myself.
Okay. That's really cool. So I guess having a chance to go out there and do that really allowed for you to kind of embody the type of work that you wanted to offer to your customer base. I would think eventually that experience really provided you a sense of um, the options that can be available to change people's lives.
Yeah, and also just gave me a sense of how hard it is to find each of these training programs.
Yeah,
I mean, you can kind of Google around to type in like
that's tough.
programs near me, but it's actually like a lot of these websites are not very well maintained. You don't actually know how much it costs, when the next class is, where it is.
Mhm.
And so, I mean, we just wanted to aggregate it in one place so it's easy for people
Well,
to compare.
I'm actually glad you brought that up because as I was going through your website, I had a question as to whether your platform is it a education company or is it an education is it doing education marketing? Because really what it appears is that you're able to use that very powerful database engine that you have to, like you said, to bring up any programs across the country. But at the same time, you're offering coaching, and I want to talk a little bit more about your AI coaching in a moment. So which one is it? Is it marketing or is it the actual education platform?
Yeah, I mean, we think of ourselves as a technology platform. We're not the ones that are good at the education, and we don't have
Sure.
experience with education other than my amazing co-founder who was a
Hmm.
teacher for many years. But we just want to be able to scale up to serve many different types of
Sure.
programs at many different levels, and that's why we don't want to offer the education ourselves. We want to
Hmm.
partner with the best ones in the world.
So with your model, so you get into these different agreements with educational
Mhm.
enterprises and organizations, and then you that becomes part of your database, and then it's piped
Exactly.
into your platform. Gotcha.
Yeah, we also list schools that we don't partner with because we
Oh,
want to
really?
give options to students of any different type. So, for example, cosmetology programs are all in person. They're legally required to be. A
Yeah.
lot of people are also looking for cosmetology programs, and so we can't offer programs to people who are looking for that in, I don't know, Chattanooga or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
what we've done is we've ingested all the data about for around 10,000 programs all over the country. So for any student who's looking for anything, we want to be able to give them with an option. And that's actually one of our North Star KPIs of our
Hmm.
business.
Hmm.
Like, can a student find what they're looking for? And it
I
doesn't
see.
really matter if it's
That's great.
a
So
sponsored.
so how does, so how does that work into your business model then in terms of revenue? Is it the agreements that you have with the educational platforms, or is it kind of the aggregation of your data analytics in terms of bringing up the capacity to kind of bring up these educational sources and the type of customers that you have coming to your um,
Yeah, we make deals with specific schools who want to
okay.
promote a specific program on Dreambound, especially
Yep,
since we have data about, here's a student who's
absolutely.
looking for a cybersecurity program that starts in the next month that is 2 miles away from their house, or maybe not
Yeah,
2 miles, but like 10 miles away from their house. And a school finds that to be a very valuable student because they're very
absolutely.
likely to
Absolutely.
enroll in that type of program very soon. And so a school is willing to pay us and sponsor that search is what we call it. But at the same time, we as a platform, we're trying to provide a great experience for students because that is how you create like a long-term valuable business just in general.
Absolutely.
Like Google, for example, has sponsored listings at the top, but they also try and provide the most relevant resources as well for
Sure,
their
sure.
organic searches. And so we have to think about that balance a lot of like providing the best result, but also, yeah, we're a business too, and we
Gotcha.
want to be able to sustain our scale and growth.
So how does the AI platform, I'm excuse me, the AI coaching platform works? Because and maybe you
Yeah.
could just speak a little bit about the customer experience once they actually come to your site and they find something that is of interest to them. Uh, how do you take them through the application process, but at some point they're kind of entering into the domain of that particular educational enterprise. Is that correct?
Yeah. I
Okay.
mean, so what we found was that after we launched our search engine, we've been able to scale up quite a bit. But what we found was that like 90% of people aren't ready to make that
Sure.
educational decision yet. Maybe they're trying to figure out exactly what role they want to do, or maybe they're not at that right point in their lives where they're like, okay, I'm ready to start school right now. And it
Yeah,
just felt like such a shame to not be able to serve those users who are
absolutely.
still trying to make some career path decision in their lives sometime soon. And we wanted to create an experience for them that would still engage them in the process and still
Hmm.
help them make that decision and journey. So we ended up building a little penguin mascot. His name is Skipper.
I saw
He
that.
asks
Yes.
questions about a user, asks them about like their dreams and motivations, past work experience and histories. Users can then communicate, some of the things that they find meaningful towards about them and their past
Hmm.
lives. And Skipper then translates all that information into a search engine query on our side and recommends
Sure.
them classes based on like, hey, you might be a great fit for this medical assisting course because you said that you want to be able to help people directly with their lives, and this is your budget and this is what you're looking for. And it's been so cool to see just like the different
Yeah.
responses that people have. Like there are some really um yeah, just great stories of people talking about how I took care of my grandmother when I was young, and now I want to be able to give back to the community. And then
Wow.
Skipper gives them some information and then they're like, "Oh my gosh, thank you so much, Skipper." Like you really made such a big difference in my search life. And then also some really funny ones. Like I saw this great query that I posted about on LinkedIn where someone was like, "Skipper, are they paying you? Are they putting you in a cage?" And I was like, wow, we can really get the full range of responses.
That's great, and it's fantastic when you can also turn the AI into and the type of avatar that people can really kind of connect with too. I mean, a skipper, and
Yeah,
that's fantastic. So, is it your plans? Because we see AI just exploding, especially in the ed
totally.
tech market, where we could see the endless possibilities, including the ideal of your AI actually being your tutor and your assistant throughout your whole educational experience. Is this an area that you're going to be really putting more investment in to make Skipper even more dynamic?
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
100%. That's really what we're excited about for the next year of the business. I think we're very lucky that we have a marketplace and a search engine
sure.
that works really well in the market, and so we'll keep growing and scaling that. But I mean, our goal really for DreamOut is just to be the go-to place where if someone
Mhm.
wants to advance their career and make more money and do something meaningful where they are able to provide for themselves and their families, like they'll come to
Absolutely.
DreamBound and they'll find that path for them no matter what it is. And so, I mean, unfortunately, it's a very difficult problem. Like there are humans that haven't unlocked this, career
Sure.
coaching as people in an industry is flawed in a lot of ways and doesn't work for a lot of people. But I mean, I think the cool part about AI is being able to scale that up to so much more than or to be able to serve so many more people than career coaching at like $100 an hour.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Our product,
Absolutely.
we can give it out for free or we can charge very little
Yeah.
and anyone all over the world that can get a little bit more guidance than what they're getting now because it's kind of crazy how people make decisions, right, in their career. So often it's like, oh, my mom was a nurse or my mom was a welder or something like that, and that's why I want to do it. But that's like, I don't know, probably the worst way to make a career
Well,
decision.
actually, I'm glad you brought that up because I have this discussion, in my consulting work with colleges. I have this conversation with them all the time because
Yeah.
colleges, the way they look at their marketplace, it's so obsolete because they look at different demographics, whether it's age demographics, racial and ethnic demographics, and then they just make a lot of assumptions
Mm,
about how they come into the educational experience. And what I often speak to them about is how they need to employ more of behavioral economics into um, how they look at students who are interested, because what you'll find is that their decision-making process is totally different than the assumptions that you make when you're designing a marketing plan. And so what
hmm
you just stated there is pretty much what I mean when it comes to how behavioral economics play, because people make decisions and they're not always rational based on how we think of rational decisions. So yeah, some people say, I did it because my mom was a nurse.
hmm
I did it because, I saw how these groups create community with one another. And I want to be part of a team. And so it's interesting because someone who really gets this big time is actually the US military in their marketing. And
yeah.
so if you really look at their latest marketing, I saw this maybe a little less than a year ago. They just had one campaign where the commercial was just a bunch of people around the pool table talking and laughing. They mentioned nothing about what your military experience would be like. They just had them in uniforms, talking, laughing, camaraderie, really playing into the sense of belonging.
hmm
And so that's what I mean about how we have to look at um, incorporate more of the behavioral economics, because it really captures some of the more irrational ways, or I'll just say irrational ways that people make decisions.
Yeah,
So
I mean, I talk to colleges all the time who are I mean, another great example is just like how stubborn a lot of colleges are to stick to these like majors that a lot of students are not interested in.
Absolutely.
And they think it's like, oh, we just need to promote it more. But I'm like, listen to the market, listen to what students
Absolutely.
are looking for. If they're not looking to do this program, like don't force it to them.
Yeah. Yeah.
But at the same time, we also have a little bit of this challenge where, for example, like a nursing assistant is a very, very popular program on
Hmm.
Dreambound, but I just don't think it's like the best career for someone to
Sure.
do. Or like criminal justice or something is another very
Hmm.
popular program that I'm just like, oh, but like, what about something else that
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
better labor outcomes or something like that? But yeah, at the same time, if a student's looking for it, we want to offer it. And so,
But once again, this is where the behavioral economics come into because how people make decisions. A lot of folks go into medical assistance because they need a quick job
mhm,
or to get into the market fairly quickly. But another reason is because of just where their social position may be at that time. They could be new moms, they could be it can be a number of different things
yeah,
that really talks about how life is done. And and yes, and I think one way to kind of combat that is to really play into how um, maybe starting off as a medical assistant, there are different ways in which you could scale up, your career experience,
hmm
and that becomes a source of motivation for them because some of it is intrinsic and some of it is more extrinsic with, what is the pay, reward of
hmm
that. But when people can see how they could, create mobility for themselves, then folks don't really mind where they start off at, as long as there's
hmm
an opportunity to grow.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's, I think, where a lot of the coaching comes in, where it's like personalized and like, okay, you wanted to be a nursing assistant because it's short and it's a relatively affordable
Yeah,
program. Would
absolutely.
you also consider phlebotomy, which pays a little bit better, but also
Yep.
is still short and also, it's pretty fast. And so
Yep.
it's just like personalizing it to that person based on, what they said that they were looking for, and making recommendations that they can trust and then be able to act on.
Absolutely. So looking at when you look at your analytics, who are you seeing as your customer?
Oh
Your
man. I mean,
demographics and et cetera.
yeah, we get the whole range. I mean, we get about 2 million visitors a year and growing like 20 to 30% every month.
Oh, wow.
Really varies. We've also just added a lot more degree programs, for
Sure,
example.
sure.
So now we're starting to get people who are a little bit higher income, people who
Hmm.
are, graduated, maybe they've done their associates and now are trying to do their bachelor's. But I would say in general, I mean, we see a lot more women than men, which has been interesting to see, like
Sure.
probably 60-40 or 65-35. We primarily serve adult learners, maybe like
Hmm.
25 to 35, who are stuck in these jobs that they don't feel very happy
Yeah,
about. Even if they might pay reasonably well, like someone
sure,
might be
sure.
working as, an Amazon warehouse worker, but that's not like their passion. They want to go and work on
Absolutely.
healthcare because they want to like help people and make the
Yeah,
world a better place.
absolutely.
Or, maybe they're trying to leave healthcare because they've been burnt out and they want to enter something like
That's
that.
true
So we see
too.
like the full cycle. Uh,
Absolutely.
yeah, I mean, there really is a range, but I think the common theme is like there are people who feel very lost in their careers. They want to do something new. They're looking for exactly, or they're not sure exactly what they want to do. And some people
Hmm.
know exactly what they want to do, but they feel overwhelmed by the landscape of like, oh, I don't know what's out there or how to get there.
Sure. So, um, so name a win. What sticks out for you? So you've been doing this for how long again? I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah, like almost 5 years.
So 5 years. So what is a big win that you've been able to experience during your time?
Oh, I mean, so many, just like from
Yeah.
I mean, the whole range of like very small ones. Like we just got our first letter in the mail a couple months ago from this
Yeah.
guy who, I guess is currently incarcerated and is looking for, a tower technician program. Like he wants
Oh,
to become
wow.
a tower
Yeah.
technician. He somehow found about Dreambound, but I guess he maybe doesn't have internet, even though I guess somehow he found Dreambound. So he wrote us a letter that was like, "Can you help me find a class?"
Oh, really?
And I was
Wow.
like, "This is awesome! Being
Yeah,
able
that
to,
is.
impact the life of someone who got started on the wrong foot, but wants to be able to turn their life around." So from that all the way up to, yeah, us being a very trusted way to grow enrollments for some of the largest schools in the country. I mean, now
Mm.
we work with like Southern New Hampshire University,
Yep, yep.
AU, all the way to like very small vocational schools that have been able to, add a new campus or add new
Sure,
programs
sure.
because they're on Dreambound and they're able to grow their enrollment in that way. I also feel just very lucky, like to work on such a meaningful problem for me personally and with my team, and be able to grow our team to be able to, serve many people, to help them change their lives.
That's fantastic. So, lastly, how about you? Let's learn a little bit more about yourself. Now, your background is in engineering,
Hmm.
am I correct?
Hmm.
Harvard. Harvard. So tell me a little bit about your background in engineering and you know why you chose that field in terms of applying it into the market that you're in now.
Yeah, I mean, I actually didn't know really about like the tech industry or venture capital or people can
Uh-huh.
start companies really up until I got to college. And then even then it was only halfway through college. Basically, like I wanted to go and become a policymaker because I wanted to work on the problem of poverty. And I was like,
Sure,
wow,
sure.
the only way to go do this is to change
Right.
policy government runs and all like that. But then I took our Introduction to Computer Science course at Harvard CS50. It's like the most popular class
Yep.
in college. And I mean, that was so cool. Just being able to experience, wow, I can like literally build something.
Change. Yeah.
And the first thing that I did for my final project was we built this like Chrome extension to auto like all your friends'
Oh,
photos
really?
on Facebook, which was so stupid. But we got like so many users and we got a cease and desist letter from Facebook, which was so fun.
I would think they would try to buy that as a beta product or something like that.
You know, you would
Yeah.
think, but I guess they don't like that too much. And I was like, this is sick. I
Yeah.
clearly made an impact on some way or another. And so, yeah,
That's a great indicator that you're on the right path there. No, no doubt.
yeah, scale, in some
Yep.
way. And I was like, wow, technology can like impact so many more people than
Yeah.
going many years of grad school and then being able to work my way to go be a policymaker for,
Sure, sure.
and I'm a very action over an action person. That's one of our values at Dreambound. So yeah, did that. Started a nonprofit where we helped like technical talent, especially software engineers, go work in the federal government to make
Oh,
benefits
wow.
accessible. So
Yeah.
things like helping the Department of Veteran Affairs
Hmm.
make their disability benefits more accessible for veterans.
Is that kind of like a code for America or something like that?
Very similar, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
very
nice.
similar. Called Coding It Forward, very similar name too.
Okay.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
we like got a lot of early support from Code for America leadership, which
Yeah.
is awesome. But then I was like, oh, I want to also work in startups and be able to grow fast in that way.
Sure.
So then I worked at Uber on the self-driving car team, which was such a cool experience. Just like seeing the future, in its own
Absolutely.
way. But then
Yeah.
also seeing a lot of people who are about to lose their jobs. Like every Uber driver, you know, is current. I mean, I don't think they'll be around for another like
Yeah.
5, 10 years. Like in San Francisco, the self-driving cars are just running around. Um, and so yeah, that was another big
Well,
goal.
that's always going to be the unintended consequence, or actually, maybe it's an intended consequence, depending on who's making
Oh
the
yeah, definitely.
evaluation
That's what they want.
of technology and the tech world that we live in. It's just really about what emerges from that in terms of new opportunities and and what type of realities are constructed for people to empower themselves. So we'll
Yeah,
see. Yeah. So I
100%.
want to thank you. This has been fantastic, and thanks. I definitely could see why and where Dreambound plays a key role in the ed sector, because you're right. There's just a lot of people out there that have a hard time figuring out, you know, how to get access to their interests.
Hmm.
And, if we can use tech to bring that along and then facilitate them along the process, then I salute you, for
Thank
the
you.
great work that you and your team are doing.
Thank you so much. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's been a long journey.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.